All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Elite 100. Great to see everybody here. If you guys could pop on your cameras, that would be absolutely amazing. I want to welcome Brittany Droz coming in to check us out. Her and her husband are very, very successful in the fields of business coaching, psychotherapy, and a whole bunch of other things. So she's checking us out. And why don't we go ahead and start with some wins? Who's got some wins? And we'll get into the mastermind principles. Beth?
Hey, so Lenny and I just got back late last night from Clearwater, where we spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with Dave Van Hoos and his speaking and sales mastery. Oh my gosh. It honestly was the most powerful weekend we've had in a long, long time. This is the second time we've done it, so that really speaks volumes. And I know a lot of us were there and we've gone back twice, but the connections, the content, honestly, the people, not just at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner, we were all constantly like connecting with each other, serving each other, finding out what each person does and how we can help. It flew by like that, but it was honestly the best weekend we've had in a long, long time. And we can't wait to go back because we're going to go back in November for another seminar that he has going. So
I absolutely love that. And Dave, I want to give you about 5 minutes to recap in a second here. And I'm going to get you the sound bite of that so you can use it for advertising.
Right.
That's awesome. Yun, what about you?
Yes, I was just going to echo exactly what Beth was saying. It was an amazing weekend. Dave, again, thank you, everybody. Dave, you came and you served, you gave it your all, like you said you would. And it was absolutely amazing. The people, the connections, the knowledge that we, it was, I don't even have words if you can't tell it. I always have words, right?
Come on.
I love it. Love it. Awesome. Keaton, what about you, brother?
Yeah, so I was at that event as well, and that was absolutely an amazing win. But right before that, I was at Rudy's Mastermind at his castle in North Carolina with Antonio and Brian, and it was just like the most amazing room of people, and then just going down to Clearwater, Florida, and just being with another room of just the most amazing people, and like they said, the content's absolutely amazing. Dave, thank you so much. It's been, and then Chelsea got to go and experience it as well. But I was just, after the event, I was talking to Lynn Romanowski, and he was just like, just to bring this amount of people, these amazing people into one room, sort of like this Zoom room, but like it's like never happens, and we're just so blessed to be a part of it. So it was an amazing 7 days back to back. So thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Isn't it so cool that this is what we get to do for a living? I mean, most of us just are bouncing around from mastermind to mastermind, meeting amazing people, right? There's deal flow, there's connections, and this is our full-time job. That's exactly what I do for a living. Is I attend a bunch of masterminds, meet great people, learn things, serve people. So, Dave, it sounds like you really knocked it out of the park. Matt, what about you? And then I want to hear from Dave real quick.
Well, I'm gonna continue the gratitude towards Dave and his team. I am just absolutely honored. I'm honored and humbled because back, I think it was in January or February when we had that Elite 100 retreat. Here's this guy that comes in, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, just sharp looking, good looking guy, with big blue eyes, and I'm grateful to be in a couple groups with Dave, and just the heart and the serving and the spirit that he brought just created a space that encouraged sharing, encouraged working with each other, encouraged vulnerability. And anytime I'm with him, I just have an increased level of awareness, and I just have so much growth. So Dave, thank you so much. I want to give gratitude as well to you, Brian. I know it's not any one of you specifically, it's everyone, and it's Source that drives this. However, Yun and I were looking at really just the past year and a half where we started setting some very specific intentions about growth and travel and expansion. And, you know, she brought, when you're just moving forward, sometimes you don't stop to acknowledge what you've been through. And she's just labeled all the different trips we've been on and all the different people we've met. And I just want to say thank you to everyone on this screen and anyone that's been part of our lives in total. I mean, we're just humbled to be here. And I thank you, thank you, thank you.
I absolutely love that. And Dave, why don't you give us 5 minutes on what happened?
Well,
Sounds
I
good.
want to start off with taking Laura, because Laura's the one that referred me to you, Brian. And Brian, I'm very grateful for you allowing me to do a presentation, to share my passion and my purpose, and trust me. So I want to thank you guys, Laura and Brian, and everybody for giving me opportunity. I'm very grateful. This is my passion and my love. And what I love to show people is how to monetize their mission or monetize their passion. So we spent 4 days, one day the day before, because I've trained over 10,000 speakers in 100-something countries around the world. So it's time for me to get back to work. I've basically taken 5 years off. And so I'm re-engaging my old clients and my new clients to get out there and change the world. And so what we talked about is, number one, how to get customers one-to-many. By doing webinars and doing events. We talked about how to build your customer path. We talked very heavily neurolinguistic programming, hypnotic patterns. But most importantly, what we did is we drilled everything. Everything was about learning it and drilling it and the psychology behind why we do it. So it was amazing. So is anybody interested in doing a seminar? Is anybody interested in doing some seminars? So let me give you a couple things that I've learned, Brian. Number one, when you do seminars now, there's a lot of different mechanics. I used to do 2,000 seminars a year, so I know how to put the seminar on. But number one, I think if you're thinking about doing a seminar, is I always like to start with the end in mind. So I always think about what is your end goal? You just don't do a seminar randomly. And for me, I always figure out what's the emotional experience I want the people to have, you know, what's the breakthrough I'd like for them to have, the financial goals of the event, who's going to speak. So I kind of start with that end in mind first. Then after I do that, then I really determine the marketing plan to get the people there. There's a lot of different ways how to fill your events. Now our events are back like crazy. So the best way to really fill your events is through webinars, speaking on stages. And then like Brian said, he gets paid to go to masterminds and travel. So that's a great way for you guys to get new clients at the event. Obviously, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is when you put the events on, don't make it difficult for people to get to your event. Like, don't put in exotic places. Don't do it outside the country. You got to make it easy for people to get to you. So what I recommend is you do one event on the East Coast and then one event on the West Coast. People from the West Coast will not travel over to you. So you got to kind of come to them. It is a little bit more the strategy now today. Also, what I like to do is a co-event where it's physical and online.
Yeah, that's the hybrid. That's what's happening these days.
Because there's a group of people that want to meet people, and there's a group of people that maybe are scared to meet people, or just they don't have the time or the resources to travel there. So having both of those really ups the amount of people to do that. I'll give you one super Jedi ninja strategy that really, really works well for events. It's this. When I learned about Pareto's principles, the 80-20 rule, 20% of your prospects will buy 80% of your products or service. So great marketers know how to target their list to the buyers. So when you do your events, real quick, keep the risk minimal. Bigger is not better. Smaller, intimate events are more profitable, better experience. It's my humble opinion. So.
Well, you've
what
done
you
it both ways. You've had some monster events, I know from the past, so.
Yeah, I did a big event with a couple thousand. I mean, I spoke at Get Motivated with 10,000. But I like the smaller intimate events. And what you want to do, number one, is you want to get the hotel for free. How do you get the hotel for free? Is number one, you can guarantee if they'll give you the ballroom, the big room, you got to have high ceilings and all that. They'll give it to you for free. Okay. If you guarantee 30 rooms. Okay. So guarantee the 30 rooms, negotiate also a 20% nutrition or 80% nutrition. That means if only 20 people book the rooms, you're not caught with the goodies in the bag. You don't have to pay for those rooms. That's number one. Number two is do a little bit of food and beverage. That will get your room for free. And then what you want to do is when people buy your event, you want to do a one-click upsell or an upsell of VIP. What VIP is typically $299 to $500. And what VIP is to do is two things. Number one, pay for your food and beverage. So VIP, they get a special lunch, a special dinner. They get the recordings of the event. We've got some guys that Keaton and those guys can record your event. And then what that does is 90% plus of your buyers of your coaching will be the ones that bought VIP.
Right,
So
yeah. makes sense.
VIP identifies your biggest prospects, because if you would like to make more money, spend more time with quality prospects. So VIP is just a great way to segment your list, if that making sense. So, and then just make sure when you do your events, any extras, you don't want to spend a lot of money on things that are unnecessary. So you have to ask the question, does buying this or investing in this further my sale? Because there's a lot of different things, as Brian knows, that when you do all these things, you might buy, $5,000, $10,000 of food, and people don't appreciate the food and they complain because it was cold. So just make sure that when you do events, you're not in the travel business and you're not in the food business. Meaning, don't pay for their travel or their food or their hotels. Keep that separate, because then when you get involved with that, there's all kinds of logistics and complaints and problems. Just stay in training, if that making sense. So those are just a couple cool little things I wanted to share with the group.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate the value, because a lot of people here are either looking to do events or have done them and are looking to sharpen them up. So I appreciate that. And we still got to get you in for a hot seat. Matter of fact, there's a few people
Yes.
here. We got Gary, we got Chris, Dave, Keaton, Antonio. We got a whole bunch of you. Raise your hands for those hot seats. And Keaton, I think you wanted to do next week. Is that correct?
Yeah, if that's all right with everyone, I'd love to.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll get you in, but we have a whole bunch of you that haven't had your hot seats yet. So don't overthink it. You can have more than one. So it's not like one and done. Anybody here at any time can raise their hand for the whole group to pour into you and help you launch a book, help you if it's a health condition, if you're raising money, whatever it is, we can help you. So don't be shy on those. All right. I do want to take a step back, and Dave, if you would you mind reading the Mastermind principles to start us off here?
Oh, great. By the way, I want to share, this is very interesting, Brian. Thank you for putting me on the spot. I want to share something very vulnerable with people. I got held back from third grade to second grade because I had dyslexia. So I made it through high school without being able to read or write. I also made it through college without being able to read or write. So it's interesting. My biggest fear as a speaker was that I had to write or read from the room. And 10 years of speaking, I never used a whiteboard because I was terrified. Until one time, I was working with one of my clients in Holland, and they did about 2,000 people. And she looked at me, she goes, "Yeah, Dave, I have dyslexia and I'm left-handed. I just write so sloppy that nobody can read it. I can get away with it." I go, "What?"
That's awesome.
So, it's funny. So yeah, so if anybody has that fear, but yes, I'll do the best that I can.
All right,
Mastermind principles. Begin every mastermind meeting by reading these mastermind principles. I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me. I believe the combination intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I am open to looking at myself, my problems and opportunities from another's point of view. I decide to release my desire totally in trust to the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. I forgive myself for making mistakes I have made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past so that I can move into the future with a clean slate. I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires. And I hear my mastermind partners support me in my fulfillment. I accept. I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need. I am grateful knowing this is so. And dedication, is that what is it? Is that dedication?
Dedication.
Dedication and covenant. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to the world and my fellow human beings. I live in a manner that will set the highest example for others to follow and to remain an open channel of God's will. I go forth in a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. And Dave, thanks for number one, being vulnerable. And I remember Bob Proctor, you know, he had no problem if he was sitting in a whole group of people, could be very sharp people. If somebody said a word that he didn't know what it was, he would actually stop them. And he says, I've never heard that word, or what does that word mean? And the other thing is that I know that like Richard Branson was dyslexic. There's a whole bunch of people that are super successful that overcame that same challenge. So maybe there's a link to genius and dyslexia. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Almost my whole life, I've never felt good enough or worthy enough to do that. In fact, when you asked me to do that, I went in absolute terror and fear. So I'm grateful that you invited me to do that, because it is. And, you know, I guess in life, we just have to just take our fears and continue to work through them.
You just power through. I love it. Yeah, you did a great job. So thank you for that. Thanks for the vulnerability.
I was terrified.
So I heard last week that Lenny crushed you guys are doing accountability. We're going to keep on that track. And I want to hear from some of the newer people. And if you are newer to the group, you know, accountability is just like a little quick 5 or 10 minutes on, you know, what's your goal? What are you doing lately? What, if any, challenges you have? And we'll pour into and see if we can quickly help you to free up. So this is kind of rapid fire. It's not a hot seat. It's just little laser coaching. So, and it's good for everybody here to understand each other's goals. And my team is grabbing all of your goals and we're putting them on a document so we can all have each other's goals, right? And imagine that. Imagine all putting energy towards each other's goals and how powerful that is. So my team has been, as we do these week after week after week, they're grabbing this information. We're going to put it on an E100 document and get it out to you guys. So Mr. Gary Wright, what is your current C-type goal, brother?
Thanks for having me do this and being accountable. My C-type goal is 2 million a month.
Okay.
And
is
having
that gross or net?
Gross.
Okay.
And owning or being a part of at least 100 million in real estate assets.
Okay.
Yep.
So a couple of things we want to do there is just tighten that up a little bit, right? Because you know, sound is energy, and energy out, energy back, right? And if we leave blanks or voids in our goals, the universe will fill them in very funny ways. I've had many examples called divorces of not filling in the gaps on what I want. And same with business, right? So 2 million a month gross could cost you 3 million a month to generate. So I would figure out what your net, every single one of you, figure out what your net goal is. So there's some people that run $2 million a month businesses that are costing them 3 million a month in ad spend, teams, marketing, overhead, right? And they're actually losing money, even though it's 2 million a month. So my suggestion would be to figure out what you want to net. And
You know what, let's change it to 2 million net.
well, that's what I thought. You're on track to do that anyway. So that's what I thought you meant. Because you don't have a lot of heavily overhead business. You don't have,
No,
most of your stuff is very high nets, right? With properties and AI accounts and trading and things like that. So you're in mostly very high net businesses. So that's one thing. And then the 100 million in real estate, you said either own or be a part of. I would just get some clarity on that. It's just what would Gary love, not what does Gary think is possible, because Gary is just figuring out who and what he is, and so are we all. So am I. Like, I still don't even have a clue as what I'm actually capable of. We're bound by not much except for physical time.
that's true.
And Bob studied and developed businesses for 63 years, and he said he was just scratching the surface. So if you'd love to control 100 million in real estate with you and your team, then that's fine. Or if you want to be a part of a syndicate, but again, if you're part of a syndicate that's 100 million, you might only have 50 grand in there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely me being either the majority or running it myself. Yes.
Okay, so I would just get some clarity as to the language you're using for yourself, because it goes from conscious into subconscious and it drives the body into action. And there's quite a few people. Kevin Lee's, way up there. Kyle Seabuth is way up there. We're bringing in Sarah Sullivan, who controls like 200 million in real estate. So Dan Barnett has big real estate. There's quite a few people in here that you can sidebar with, or we can talk about it here as well. We could have a real estate centric mastermind and just openly talk about it. Ours big in real estate, Eric. So probably half the people in here can either give advice or, we talked about coming together in the Elite 100 to form a real estate fund. That might be another possibility. But what other advice do you guys have for Gary? And what challenges, if any, do you have, Gary?
Challenges right now is probably finding partners to have it grow to be that.
Well, we just solved that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I would think that that's my biggest and the fear of it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Next steps in fear, sure.
Brian,
Yeah, good.
also needs to Gary, very nice to meet you. You also need to revisit your number. Excuse me, $100 million of real estate does not return 24 million net a year. If it does, let me know where it is. I'll buy some.
Okay.
So those numbers need to be worked on a little bit.
Well, it wasn't in conjunction. He was 2 million a month from multiple revenue sources, and one piece of that is 100 million. That's how I understood it.
My bad.
Because Gary already has AI, Gold Fund, and a couple of other things that are cranking. So he's, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but it was 2 million a month cash flow and controlling 100 million in real estate.
Correct.
Yeah. How many people here would be interested in a real estate specific mastermind breakout session? You got about half or more. Okay. All right. Well, let me take a note. We'll schedule something either on a Tuesday or on a satellite Thursday. Because we have a lot of big players in here.
Can I ask Gary some questions to get some clarity?
Absolutely.
Hey, Gary, nice to meet you, man.
You as well.
Let me ask you a couple quick questions. In your business right now, what do you think are successful actions that work the best for you right now that you can share with the group?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
What are the most successful actions or strategies that's working well for you right now?
So, okay, so I have basically just somewhat changed my focus. Brian's been helping me through a whole bunch of stuff for the past few years. More so, I was doing like local real estate stuff, like being the property manager. I don't want to say I was going through it the whole wrong way, but I wasn't going through it to where I was using my talents the best. Let's say all my tenants knew me. I knew them. I shouldn't, if you want to make a lot of money in real estate, they should know you. And so he's been helping me to change my focus on that. Right now, I do have investments with in the bot, the AI, a couple different solar companies, things like that. Still hold some real estate, but just getting, I guess I was more so thinking that I needed to wait until this bubble bursts to jump into a big market of real estate. So I think that that's what my challenge is just the fear of jumping in now.
Oh, and then so real specific, I'm always about tactical things. What are you doing right now to solve that problem with the fear?
Actually, nothing at the moment, just waiting.
So maybe we can mastermind some successful strategies that people have done. I think for me, hypnosis, timeline therapy has worked very, very well. So that's something that you can do and have somebody take you back to childhood, the programmings from 0 to 8 to remove that. That will be something powerful. Probably a lot of us have done landmark education. That's probably pretty good. I'm going to go see Tony Robbins, which, Brian, are you going to go to Tony in 2 weeks? He's right in your backyard.
No, I think I'll be in Cancun for my birthday or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a couple cool things that that obviously can help with that. There's some really good strategies. So you're trying to raise money. Is that correct?
And I will be, I believe. Yeah, I need to understand the steps and stuff like that to get there. Yeah.
Okay, so you will be. I don't like those words, but
Right.
It is what it is. It's not. Let me just put it's very easy.
Yeah.
Success is easy if you chunk it down. Let me give you something to consider that's super easy. I think you can do that I've done to raise lots of money. Number one is you probably want credit investors, correct? To give you money.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cool thing is today you can buy the list or get the list of credit investors. So what I do when I raise millions and millions of dollars for my franchising company with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, what I do is I do direct mail. So I pull up, let's just say in Miami, I'll pull up 10,000 credit investors. Then I'll create a compelling message and I'll invite them to come to the Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Okay, to come learn about some amazing strategy. Then they show up. Typically, you get about 20 to 30 people. You'll do a lunch, a dinner, a lunch, and a dinner. And then just hire a nice little secretary to check the people in. And then do a compelling presentation. Tell your story, get them emotionally about what you got. And then at the end of your presentation, do a strategy session, sit down. And then basically what will happen is you'll get about 30 people per event. 50 of them will sign up for a strategy session. And then out of there, you should close a percentage of people, obviously, when you sit down with them. And then you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's exactly how I made Inc. 500. It's a very pretty easy thing. And you could raise millions of dollars. It's my humble opinion. So that's the way I would do it. You can also do what Brian does. He goes to masterminds. You got to find out where your customer's at. So, you got the Fort Lauderdale boat show. I always wondered about going there, just having a booth just to get the leads of all the people that are buying yachts. Right. So, where are your people at where you can do that? Obviously speaking at other people's seminars. A guy named David Phelps came to me about 8 years ago. He was a dentist. Crazy story, but long story short, he bought real estate. So now what he does is he's got about 500 dentists that come to a seminar and he sells turnkey real estate. So if I were you, I would go speak at the dental surgeons, the doctors, these people that have a lot of money but don't know how to invest it. And what I would do is I would pay to play. I'd pay $2,000 to speak at the dental association and just tell your story about real estate, how it could be awesome. And if anybody's interested in about getting financial freedom, come talk to you at your booth. So to me, those are some really simple little things. And like you said, if you chunk it down to small steps, I don't think you'll have that fear or that intimidation of, oh my God, I got to raise all this money. Was that helpful at all by any chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Dave, a million ideas just came to me when you said that, because half the people here raised their hand, and Gary said he wants to be part of something that controls 100 million in real estate. That was his first thing. So what just came to me is like, we have about 20 of us. If we each threw 100K in a pot, we got a couple of million, and we could easily, with all our different skill sets, find real estate, create presentations, speak on stages, get on stages, get here, get there, get like everything you just mentioned. If we come together as a team and make and we talked about this a year ago, I just think we were a little premature in the Elite 100, creating an Elite 100 real estate fund. With the power in this group, with our ability and our networks and our thing, we could easily get to 100 million in real estate. So I'll set a satellite, all the things you just mentioned. We have all the expertise here, including you, to help drive this thing, right?
Well, probably most of you guys don't know this. I was the owner and founder of foreclosuresdaily.com. I took that Inc. 500. So I taught hundreds of thousands of people how to buy pre-foreclosure properties back in my past life.
Yeah,
and
I
I
think that'd be a lot of fun.
Thousands of houses from stage.
We would totally crush that as a team. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna we'll do a satellite real estate. Gary, and thank you for sharing this, because you created a good topic.
Yeah.
So I think we can help you with your goals. Chris, you got something to add, bud? Patterson, where'd you go? Oh, you're muted, brother. All that tech, and he's muted.
And I'm back. Sorry, I seem to do this every week. I apologize, everybody. This is probably a good time to mention I'm not the perfect coach, right? So I actually wanted to speak to his fear concern. Gary, have you had a chance to go through Thinking into Results yet?
Yes.
I would really review the terror barrier. And if you'd like, I'd be happy to meet with you for 15, 20 minutes and just kind of give you my spin on it. I think it would be helpful, because I deal with my community. That is really a big thing that holds everybody back. So if you're interested, I can shoot you my cell phone number and we can connect, and I'd be more than happy to give you my 2 cents on it.
That would be great. Thank you.
No, that's brilliant. And Chris, thanks for bringing up the right. It's like we've all been through Thinking Results, all been through Lead the Field, but sometimes I think we forget the principles. That's amazing advice. And Gary, maybe take out lesson 7 in TIR and listen to it every morning for 30 days. Okay? That's always what I recommend with Thinking Results. We go through it for 6 months, but then you guys have a toolbox of tools. If you get fuzzy on your goal, take out lesson 1 every day for 30 days. If you see that you know what to do, but you're not doing it, and that might be part of the case too, well, that's lesson 2, the knowing doing gap. If you think there's genuine fear, lesson 7. If it's a self-image issue, it's lesson 6. If your environment's controlling you, like the current economy and real estate, I promise you there's still real estate going on. That's an environmental stimulus. That's lesson 5. So thanks for bringing that up, Chris. I want everybody here to remember you have a toolbox of tools. And you want to self-assess from time to time. What is holding you back? Is it fear, self-image? Gary, part of this too is lesson 12, mastermind principles. Like you just projected an idea to some very powerful minds. So we can meet and have a real estate mastermind and maybe launch this Elite 100 real estate club for the first time. Like I said, to me, it'd be super easy. Just whoever's interested. And we throw 100K at everything, right? So each kick in 100K, you're gonna have some good seed money, probably 2 million. And you can control about 20 million or more right out of the gate. That's without raising money, right? And then we could, get some real estate and put some presentations together and do just a fun speaking tour and push it to 100 million overnight, like within 12 months, probably. So awesome. Nelson?
Yeah, just real quick, there's probably already a cheat sheet that exists, but what you were just running through, if you're experiencing this, lesson 1. If you're experiencing this, lesson 2. If you're experiencing this, just as a reference sheet, that'd be a good piece to create if it's not already existing.
I have a short explanation, but that's something me and my team could create.
Okay.
Where's Keaton?
Yeah, what's up?
Keaton or Carrie, if you could take a note on that, because we already have the 12 lessons sort of scripted out, but not if you're experiencing this, do this. And I think we could mastermind in the company to make something pretty quick as another client shareable. So if one of you could just take a note on that, we'll get that done. But Keaton, I did want to call on you next. Just tell the
Sweet.
group a little bit about your C-type goals, where you're at and anything we could help you with.
Yeah, so I have a short-term C-type goal of 2 million a year. I mean, sorry, 2 million a month
Mhm.
for perpetual motion marketing and gross revenue. And then I have a long-term goal of $500 million a year in personal income
Mhm.
through multiple revenue streams.
So I have two seats. I have like that. I have what's in front of me next 6 to 12 months, and then I have the sort of the 5-10 year goal. So,
Yeah.
so same thing. The 2 million, I would figure out what the net is, because it's the same thing with the gross, right? You could spend, and you know this probably more than anybody. You could
Right.
spend 3 million a month to get 2.
That's
Right?
right.
So I would really figure out, what do you want to net? All of you guys, whatever your goals are, I would reflect on that and figure out what you want to net out of that. So you're telling the
Mhm.
universe exactly what you want and not leaving any ambiguity in creating an upside down company. It's super easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had after being at Rudy's Mastermind, as we talked about it, I'm like rethinking my offers for profitability and scalability, and to actually deliver like even better results for the clients at the same time. So you're right. You always got to keep that bottom line in mind.
So why don't you share with these guys a little bit of what you do? You're gonna have a hot seat next week with a full presentation, but just so they understand what business models you have.
Yeah. So I've been really digging into our offerings, our core offerings, and up until this point, I've been really heavy on like done for you content creation, getting people on podcasts, chopping up the snippets of those podcasts, or like a lot of you guys are coaches on coaching calls, finding all the golden nuggets that you guys are talking about, and then putting it all over social media. This other offer I'm super excited about. It's easier to scale, delivers results even quicker for the clients, is this Facebook lead gen ad.
Mhm.
To book appointments. I've seen it as low as like $30 per appointment for whatever you're selling. And then there's a whole process that's automated to follow up with them and recapture the leads that put in their information but didn't book a call. So that's like something I'm really fired up about. And then other things are kind of like back end offers. Like once you have the lead gen and you're scaling your company, you're going to want like email marketing. And you might want me to step in as like a fractional CMO just to do some consulting to make sure you have your team set up in place. They'll be most effective. Yeah, I'm really fired up after this. And
I love it. Yeah, this week is a good week for you. So yeah, so definitely developing, what does a 50K, what does a 100K package look like? The
Right.
fractional CMO stuff should be something like that, 100K for the year or something. Because
Yeah.
that's going to take your time, and you can only do maybe 2 of those at a time or something. But it still could be an element. And if it's something you enjoy, this is what you should really check, right? And I think you do, but you always,
do, yeah.
I always gauge things. Is it M1, M2, or M3? Is it hourly?
Yes.
Is it leveraged, or is it like the gold fund, which is just straight passive? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your passion? So I think
I love that. That's a matrix right there.
the fractional CMO thing, it's an hourly. It might be a high hourly, but what's your level of passion 1 to 10? Like, don't ever do any, my opinion, I shouldn't say don't. My advice would be not to ever do anything that you don't love anymore, not in this group. In TIR, Inner Circle, some people still have jobs that they don't love and they're moving out of it. But in this group here, I would challenge you to only do what you love first, and then think about, does it make money or not? Because we have a million ways to make money doing nothing. Most of us are making more money now doing nothing than we used to do full-time doing something, right? So the fractional CMO thing, I would only do it if you're passionate about it.
Right.
Because we can create courses, you put some time and energy into some courses that you sell and you put it on all of autopilot. You could create your own version of a marketing TIR for 10K.
Right.
And have that sold autopilot. You meet once a week, one to many. So we'll chat offline about that. But Dan, what advice do you have?
Well, I just wanted to share that I'm currently using Keaton's services, and they're great. I mean, he's helping me with social media posts. So thank you, Keaton, for that. Appreciate you.
Show of hands, who's using Keaton for marketing or social media? Yeah, it's good. I brought him into the group because he's an ace. Him and his team are just aces. They're hungry, and they actually give a shit. And his industry is full of people that don't give a shit.
Gosh.
Personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
Thank
agree.
you all. I love every
I-
single one of you
I-
guys. Yeah.
I have a suggestion for you, Keaton. for
Well,
you
hold
to
on a second. I want Dan to finish. I interrupted Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, okay. Mine is quick. And this advice I have for you, Keaton, I have for myself and everyone on the call, really. And that is when we state our goals, make sure that we also get into the thought energy of why. So you've got some big numbers that you want to achieve. And for me, when I just think about the numbers, I don't really get juiced. But when I think about how am I going to use that money? What am I going to do in the world? Who am I going to help? How am I going to live my life more fully? Then I start to get the juices flowing. And when the juices are flowing, then the signal goes out stronger to the universe. So when you read your numbers, I heard them and I think they're cool, they're great. I didn't hear in your voice an excitement about it. If you think about why you want that and what you're going to do with it, maybe that will come. I think it will help.
Yeah, that's great.
That's tremendous advice.
Amazing advice. I do need to do that when I state them out loud and when I'm writing them down. I spent a weekend with Yun at her lake house, and my numbers were nowhere near this. And we talked about all of the things of why and what I want to do without money. And then she asked the question, what number would you need for you not to care or not to worry about money at all? And so if I go back to that conversation when I'm writing it, when I go back to, that's amazing advice. Thank you so much for that, Dan.
Did she make you cry?
I'm pretty sure a few times at that weekend.
Peggy and I joke.
Powerful.
Peggy and I joke that I can have a goal to make my clients cry, and not out of sadness, but out of joy of the feeling of what they're going to accomplish in their life. That's a good signal you're on the right track.
I love
Thanks,
it.
Dan.
Dave, you have some advice?
Yeah, Keaton, two things. You might already be doing them, just came to me. I think you should consider starting with the end in mind. Obviously, we should all be considering building our business to sell. And I'm not sure if you made this distinction. If you can create a marketing agency, just changing it, because then when you go to resell it, you'll be able to get more from it because it's not built around you. Around that. And obviously in the franchising world, you wouldn't believe what these marketing agencies charge us just for branding or this, or we charge $100,000 just to do a logo and these different things. So there's huge amount of money in working in franchising and other different industries that necessarily don't need an ROI, because in marketing, an ROI is a lot of pressure. But so you could do the same thing you're doing, 10x your things and have no stress and deal with an industry that's 20 years behind us.
Wow.
So is that making sense?
Yeah, amazing.
So
you just opened my mind to a million different things. That's fantastic.
The cool thing about franchising, I just slipped and fell because Kevin Harrington, gave me ownership into our company. But I've been going to franchising conferences. Oh my God, it's a freaking joke. But last one I went to was in Vegas. There was 5,000 people there, and there was 400 franchising brands. And the 5,000 people that were there all had to own a minimum of 10 franchises or more. So I met a guy that owned like 500 Cold Stones, and I don't even know how they do it. However, but these freaking people, you could get a booth there. A booth is only 5 Gs. You would literally get gazillion customers. And I don't know, I'm assuming your programs would work for franchise companies. And also for the units. That could be like a game changer. And every month there's some franchising event going on where you can sponsor for like $2,000. And I think you do well.
Ooh.
Great ideas.
Wow. In the past 2 days between you and Brian, I think you've given me what I need to hit my goal without any issue.
You set it up for one of the franchise guys. You have it for all of them because it's the same. So now the custom this and that, it's rinse and repeat. In some of these brands, have 2,000 franchisees. And if you can get the franchisor, like me that owns the company, hey, get all of your franchisees to use this, then it's in the FDD, and then they all have to use you. So if you can sell one brand, then you could get 2,000 customers. and you're guaranteed. So just
Yeah.
something to think about. That's all.
I love it.
Yeah, it is
Great
something to
advice.
think
Yeah,
about.
Keaton, you have to listen to the replay. This isn't even your hot seat, bro.
I know. Wow.
Nelson?
I thought it was his hot seat. My bad.
Oh, yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. This is just check-ins. We're gonna do more of this.
Yeah, I'm
No.
looking forward to it. Me and Keaton have a call scheduled tomorrow, and I'm super excited about it because I think there's conversations around the first part about your offerings that we can discuss, but also based on what Dave just said, I've got a phenomenal introduction into the franchise world for you.
I love you guys so much. You guys
Yep.
are fantastic. Thank you.
I love everyone. All right, I want to do one last one here because Keaton's gonna have a hot seat. Mr. Antonio, the group doesn't know what your goal is. Your C-type goal, a little bit about yourself, your background, and quickly if there's anything we do to help.
Sure. So as far as like C-type goal, I have two and they're very different. So I put I'm so happy and grateful now that $5 million a month flows to my accounts easily and effortlessly. And the second one is I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm best friends with the world's elite business people. I put business people, spiritual leaders, athletes, political influencers, and influencers. So those are the two goals. As far as me, my background, for the past like about year and a half, 2 years, I'll kind of start with Mike Ferry. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him. He's considered to be kind of like the godfather of real estate coaching. So I ran his teams as far as sales teams for all of North America. So we sold to brokers, managers all throughout North America. Did that. I got a call to work with Monopolize, which is a high-end marketing agency. They brought me in to build out joint ventureships for their organization. Then I got a call from the largest construction coaching company in the world, which is based in Auckland, New Zealand, called The Professional Builder. So I did the same thing I did with Mike Ferry. This was more national. So working with entrepreneurs in the construction space that were in Scotland, in the UK, in like, or that's I guess the same thing, but Australia, New Zealand, Canada, nothing in Mexico and United States. So I was responsible as far as like creating systems and processes for them, making sure the KPIs are really good, and also just helping people understand the psychology of construction, which is very different to sell in that world. If you look at people with like high depression rates, anxiety, alcoholism, domestic violence, it's construction. So talking to entrepreneurs in that space versus like, I'm a broker, it's not the same. It's not even the same game. I think the last like few weeks, I took on a kind of a fractional position, actually maybe about a couple months ago, with a media studio based out in Los Angeles. They worked with like DreamWorks, Lexus, Southwest Airlines, Ritz-Carlton. They're on the cutting edge of having a trifecta of influencer marketing, but also distribution contracts with like Netflix, Fox, Mar Vista, so on and so forth, and creating original content. So if you think of like, has anyone ever seen that Netflix show Formula One, Drive to Survive?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty badass, right? Who's that? Greg knows what's up. Fucking drama, bro. Drama. I've never seen anything so exhilarating in my goddamn life. And then, just a quick thing on this, because you look at Pepsi, if you look at Neutrogena, if you look at Corona beer, they're all building studios for original content. And it's a scramble right now in the business world on that. So that particular company is wanted to bring me on as VP of sales. I actually talked to Brian as far as like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And he countered that. And so I'm here with Matrix. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. The other company that I turned down, they said, how can we make magic in another way? And so I'm a fractional VP of partnerships with them. So with them, it's connecting with agencies, from talent agencies, crisis management agencies, PR agencies, even other production companies, and connecting them for services, and then having a brokerage fee in perpetuity off of that. So that's where I'm at right now.
Who's
with
your ideal client with that?
My ideal client with that would probably be talent agencies.
Does anybody here have any connections with talent agencies? I don't know.
So think of like UTA, William Morris, CAA, things like that. Like they own everything. They typically have like vendor lists of top production companies that they use. But what's going on in that world is that the markups are through the roof. So you see that happen in construction a lot with like suitcase contractors. Like they'll just mark everything the fuck up. And so you have these houses that are built way too expensively. And that happens in the production world. So they really cracked that nut of making it very cost effective, but they've also built and done shows for Netflix as well. So
So yeah,
Hulu,
they may actually apply to some of us here too. That's something we're taking a
They
look at
do.
in the matrix, right? So if you guys,
Yeah.
those of you that are coaches, what they would do is almost like a little docu-series commercial type thing. At
Yeah,
a very, very high production level.
very, very high production level. So we're looking at doing this for Dan Fleischman's masterminds. Actually like creating like episodic series of the masterminds to put that out for public consumption. And sometimes they'll take a tactical approach of doing it through YouTube or other streaming media just to get the numbers up and then resell it to like a network. That's another approach.
That's something we may look at in the matrix, but and any of you, anybody else here that has
It was a mouthful, guys. I'm sorry. It's like
that's okay. You'll
So I
get a
just wanna
hot seat. So I just want to see if there's anything quickly we can do, because this is not your hot seat. Peggy?
Hey, Antonio. So Brian, Phil is in the content production, Phil Goldfind.
1,000,000%, yeah.
And also he would probably know the agencies, like you were saying, like CAA and all the big agencies.
Yeah, I can chat with Phil, Antonio, connect you guys.
Sweet.
You got to figure out what's in it for Phil though. Like why? What is Phil's a big time Hollywood producer. So if he has a dozen agencies, what's the win-win for everybody? And you don't have to answer it here, but that's what you'd want to have.
No, I worked it out that way because like to enter some of those worlds, like you have to have some split numbers where it makes sense for them, makes sense for me and everybody else, because you're splitting the same numbers essentially. So it's really no different like in real estate. So if we're coming on a commercial deal and someone brings me an investor from a connection, like you can split numbers in a way. So luckily with Phil, if he's direct, those numbers would be a lot higher for his favor, in his favor.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing.
I can connect you with him, so that's easy. Anybody else last minute advice for Antonio? Again, this isn't your hot seat. This is real, just quick. I wanted everybody to know your goal. That's the most important thing. And then if we can quickly laser coach. Anybody else got anything? Oh, one thing I would say for those of you that are not PGI coaches, a lot of you are, but some of you, the ones that aren't, if you have any lead in your any family, friends, or neighbors that you think the matrix would be a good fit for and thinking in results, just connect them with Antonio because he's our VP of sales and I am no longer doing that. Any other advice for Antonio before we wrap up?
I'll say like one quick thing that second goal has been like moving and grooving so much. Even the recent guy into TIR, Jeremy, he's the CEO of that marketing agency. And I was telling him one of the things, because who the fuck said this? It was one of you bald dudes said this a second ago about, it was one of you bald motherfuckers a second ago. I was about like having a why and making money matter. So for me, I got a little girl. She's like not even 2 years old. She's a little itty bitty thing. The most evil thing that I feel like I would lose my mind on is if my daughter went missing and I'd never found her, like sex trafficking, child kidnapping. I don't think I could recover from that. I would probably lose it. So the Underground Railroad is a nonprofit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tim Ballard and the Underground Railroad.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
Jeremy is buddies with him, and Ballard is really great friends with Tony Robbins. So like that's such a huge relationship to explore and JV on. So it feels like I'm just like a call or two away from the people that I actually want to be really, really close friends with. It felt really good talking about that the other day with him.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I want to do a one-on-one with him too. So try to line that up, the three of us.
I don't know, man. No, okay, yeah.
Anybody else last minute advice? Oh, good. Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, hopefully it's some good value. I think there's good value for everybody here to replay this one, especially if you're going to run events, some stuff from Dave, the comments from the other people in the group. There's a lot of good content in here. So I'm going to go back through this myself and pull out the bullet points. There were some really good nuggets. So thank you everybody for chiming in and giving some advice. And we'll see you guys next week. Keaton will have his hot seat. I'll send out in the group. We'll pick a date to have a real estate mastermind. I think we're probably ready to go. We have the talent, the people. We could easily put a few million together and launch the Elite 100 Real Estate Club if that's what you guys want. All right. So until next week, be well. God bless. We'll see you guys soon. Take care, everybody.